Welcome back to Midwest Real, the ZenLyke Productions podcast that you're watching either on Spotify or YouTube. And we are here with, of course, Mr. Robert Jarson, the writer and director of Space Between, and Taylabai Anderson, who is going to be our lead actress in Space Between. And by the way, I'm ZenLyke, and I'm the other lead. So
It's going to be fantastic. I'm so looking forward to this. So we were talking last time. You said something about paranormal.
Yes.
What's your interest in the paranormal? I was curious because this may be a little bit of a science fiction. It's not, but I mean, I just was curious.
I'm fascinated with the paranormal and anything that is, mysterious. I like to, how do I put this? I believe that if I can't solve the answers myself, if I don't have the answers, then I can't be guaranteed that it doesn't exist. So it's always piqued my interest. The solid, people who deeply believe in the paranormal and those who do not. And I've chosen to believe in the paranormal. I've had some strange experiences when I was younger. So it's always been, oh yeah. Yep. My house was definitely haunted. It was over 100 years old when I was 9. And it had this big old cement block in the basement. My parents never let us in. It was completely dark, no lights in there. They told us it's where they used to store dried meat and stuff like that, like an old refrigerator back in the way back in the day. So like it was really, really old building. And you would just hear strange noises. I would see things out of the corner of my eye, and I just remember them like it happened. There were other people there when it happened. I saw it happen, I won't dive too much into it, but I definitely believe in the paranormal, yeah.
well, JPEG's haunted, right?
I do, yes.
Have you had an experience there?
No, I haven't had an experience. I've heard stories, though.
There's all sorts of strange phenomena and noises and things. And so my personal experience was when we did auditions for Mirror Image, and we did it on the main stage in the auditorium.
Right.
And I had heard rumors and stuff about, like people had seen like ghosts and figures up in the balcony and stuff like that. So auditions were over, and the director, Naomi Hauser, and I were the only ones left in the auditorium. We're standing on the stage talking before we lock everything up. And all of a sudden, I hear a voice like in the middle of the seats in the auditorium, a male voice. And I look, and there's nobody there. But I noticed that Naomi also looked. And I'm like, did you just hear that? And she's like, yeah, you heard it too. And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, Mike? Anybody back there? Nobody was in there. So we're like, okay, we're locking up and getting out now. Space Between, the film we're going to make, involves, well, Mr. Writer, how would you describe it?
Well, it's a story that I've sort of had in my head for a long time. Jim knows because I gave you a script many, many years ago.
I think like when we first met, you gave me a version of the script.
And it was a lot different back then.
Yeah.
So originally, the only thing that's similar is finding this isn't giving anything away. Yeah, maybe I should stop talking about that. Finding something that leads to something else. That's what you're saying, right?
the first couple of pages, because I started reading this and it's like, I've seen this before, and I was right.
But the title I had, you have to remember.
I remember it.
I think I wrote this when I was maybe 20 years old. Was Doing Time on Planet 9.
Oh, okay.
It's very, very different. It's changed
Time
a lot.
on Planet 9.
So it's not even the same story, but it's sort of. I've always sort of envisioned that this, because I have the weirdest dreams, sort of happened to me. So Jim, it's not a autobiographical film in any regard, but it's just sort of like I like that character. Sort of based it on some of the thoughts, things that I had. So with your paranormal interests and such, I know this is, but like what do you like, or what do you find interesting about doing this role? Because we talked last episode about your acting background and all that. Which
yes.
Is,
I honestly, I like what you had said earlier, what you were saying about the dream and how it this almost kind of came to you in a dream, because there's almost like a dream-like quality when reading through the script, when reading through this show. It feels, when I read through it the first time, it felt like I don't like it, I don't want to give anything away, but it feels like a hazy dream, the characters are almost trapped in this dream-esque state, you know, and it is, I don't know, I just really like that quality of it. But I think with this, as an actor, to be able to play an entity, as you put it, that is it. There's so much I can do with that. There's so much, and the power that comes from a role like that too. But you know, there's the other quality of the character as well. You know, there's a balance to it. You know, do you play it as this as a creature that doesn't really understand its surroundings, or do you play it as someone who understands very deeply their surroundings and has that, you know, wisdom and that air to them? And I know that's the direction we want to take it in, is with that, and I absolutely adore that. I love just the deepness to it, you know.
Thank you. One of the things that we're looking forward to doing, because we haven't done this in the past, is actually taking our time. With some of the short films, you know, you have to admit, Jim, I think we've kind of shot them very quickly.
And it's going to be interesting for you because you're playing a real person
Yeah, yeah.
for part of this, and then you're playing this entity that basically has kind of taken her form from the real person.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
have you thought about how you're going to differentiate those, or?
I'm curious too, actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, the main difference between the two is one is human. So I kind of just, it's a work in progress for me as well, you know, how I'm going to play it. But I wanted to make Audrey feel Aubrey.
Aubrey. Yep.
I wanted her to feel a little bit more cheerful and a little bit more, you know, alive. Because I think that's the huge difference between her and the entity is that feeling of life, of having loved and been loved. And I think I need to give that character a lot of life to her, a lot of love, a lot of cheerfulness, a lot more, the opposite of what we want the entity to represent, to feel, to show off. I mean, just in the scene that I'm thinking of, Audrey also has like a lot more questions. She's a little bit more curious. She doesn't know what's going on at all. She is almost a side character in the story, whereas the entity knows everything, and Richard ends up, you know, coming to know everything. And it just, I think that there's going to be a little bit more curiosity with her, a little bit more of having a how do I put it, easygoing character compared to the entity, the weight that she's going to carry.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I'm looking forward to working with Nate, who plays
Yes.
the young Richard.
Yep.
So that should be interesting.
Nate will
to
be
see
great.
how you guys interact and what the reactions are going to be. So then you sort of, is Nate going to pull some of your characteristics, or are you going to pull some of his?
Right.
You know?
And that's something he and I should probably talk about as well. Yeah, it's fun for me because, you know, like you, who I've worked with, I've known Nathan literally since he was a kid.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, I think when he was like maybe 12, he played my son on stage.
Oh wow.
Many, you know, obviously a long time ago, but we've been in different shows together. When he was 18, we were both in The Wizard of Oz. He was the Tin Man and I was the Cowardly Lion.
Oh my God.
And so, you know, so we've worked with each other at several, you know, different ages over the last, you know, probably 24 or 5 years. So it's pretty cool that he's going to be playing the younger me in this. And both he and I are going to have to do some things physically, because basically, I mean, the Richard character, we're going to see him in his early 30s, and that's when Nate is going to play him
Right.
in the scene where you're Aubrey. And then my character is slightly younger than I am right now. And then there's a scene where I'm basically like an old man and, you know, near death, where I'm with the entity. And so the way we're going to, you know, what we've tentatively decided we're going to do with that is, because my facial hair is all white now for the most part, I'm going to grow my beard out. And so that, you know, to age myself a little more for the scene where I'm older. And then I'll be clean shaven and have my hair actually dyed, you know, more like its natural color in like the main part. So there'll be like 3 different looks to the Richard character. And Nate we've asked Nate if he would shave his beard off to play the younger
Gotcha.
version of me, and he's willing to do that for this.
Wonderful.
So it's kind of funny that we have to do these things to make the characters work, but that's
And so those
what
two
it
scenes that we
is.
shot first,
Yeah.
there's the dialogue, but there's obviously a lot of emotion, and with your character, and we're gonna do that on the trail in the wood path. And I'm thinking kind of too if it could be a little bit darker, not necessarily nighttime, but something along those lines. I think we can get away with, I'm hoping to use a lot of like light and shadow for that. I want to sort of get that feeling across. So
Yeah, I know the last time we met, you guys have kind of spoken a little bit about how we're gonna shoot it, a little bit here in winter, a little bit here, in like spring, and then
correct.
May.
That's only the scenes actually with Jim's character. So we've already shot the fall scene,
Gotcha.
which was on screen. It's going to be about 3 seconds, really. It's like it's part of the conversation when he's talking with your character, and then it shows. I'm trying not to give too much away because of the power once again that you have, but the lack of understanding, but at the same time the knowing everything. So that's the challenge I think with that role. But so then we're shooting these scene in. I'm hoping for snow.
Yeah, I hope so.
So we can get that like probably around February.
Oh God.
Yeah, probably the first snowstorm we have. We're going to be on the phone with each other. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And
But what might, not to interrupt, but what might surprise people if people aren't familiar with filmmaking is, I think a lot of people think that, you shoot the script like in order.
Yeah.
And, nobody does that really. And we can't because of, the way we're going to do it with, the physical changing of looks and everything. We have to do certain scenes first. And I think that surprises a lot of people that, that's
like Hitchcock. I was going to say, what's that famous film? I think it was Vertigo. There's only 3 cuts in the entire movie. Camera constantly moves through. Am I correct?
or is it Rear Window?
I think it's Vertigo.
Is it Vertigo or Rear Window? Because most of that takes place in Jimmy Stewart's apartment.
Right.
We have to look at it again.
Yeah, we have to check that out.
I feel like it's Rear Window.
I'm thinking actually you might be able to correct now that I'm thinking about that.
What other thoughts do you have on, what you've seen in the script and how you're going to approach this, Tayla? Or
I'm really excited to get it going, get it rolling. And, I think the read-through is going to be such a great idea because I've done a lot of projects like this. I've done a lot of little short films where we don't ever meet at all. We don't discuss, we don't talk, we don't meet, nothing until the shooting. And I get there and we'll do it. You got a job to do, you're going to do it. But it helps a lot when I know I have a sense of what's going on. And I have a feel of the chemistry between the characters and myself and the other actors and, just a general idea of the whole show. And I think, before I've been in a lot of smaller roles for short films. So maybe I didn't have to do all that. Maybe they did it on their own. But, with this one being such...
I'm trying to remember when we did the Zoom read through for the film The Grass is Greener. Were you able to dial in on that?
The first one.
Because we were missing a couple of people, and I can't remember if you were.
I believe the first one, because I was on a Zoom meeting. We did do a rehearsal Zoom meeting one day, and I was there for that. I don't know if you guys did a second one without
No, it
me,
was
but
okay.
I think it was...
You would have been with that one. Good.
Yeah, I was definitely there for that. But
because I think that helped a lot, and that's something that, we've done it without, and we felt like When I Go could have benefited from having a read through, even though the actors were fantastic and just really did a bang up job on it.
Rushing them too through scenes.
Yep.
8 hours to shoot the entire thing.
Yeah.
but that's the risks that you take with it, Yeah,
And
but
also, I'm hoping too. Sorry, I cut you off.
oh, you're so good.
During the read through, I'm hoping too to find out if it's the way if it changes.
Yeah.
Changes come at that point. Totally up for that.
Absolutely.
I think it should be set this way before something happens.
Well, having that input, that it helps me greatly, and I love to bounce ideas, and so I'm really excited to play such a great character.
It's gonna be fun. The whole scene too with Nate, that was actually added to. There was a few holes that we needed to have to explain, sort of, and I think that helps a lot. It adds so much to the character.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, that whole scene with you as Aubrey was a late ad, and I think as you said, I think that fills a hole that
It-
needed to be filled in the plot,
Yeah.
and so I'm really happy with the script you've got together for this now.
Yeah, it definitely adds a deeper layer to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, that about wraps up episode number 6 of Midwest Reel. Tayla, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
We
thanks for
appreciate it,
having
and
me.
looking forward to May when we get to do this.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Yuri Rashkin talking about composing the music
Perfect.
for this.
Perfect.
So,
Yep.
and if it isn't, we'll do something else.